a lady I know has asked me to find a display for this, or not so much find one, as actually make a display for this rather heavy, and it is extremely heavy, bronze boat propeller. And here's what I've come up with. I've made a start. I've got a little base there that I've got a dovetail into. I've got a block of wood here with a corresponding dovetail on that end, and a hole drilled there, and a peg that not only fits into the, there we go, fits into there, and then that fits into there, and then this will dovetail onto the base. So I think the first thing to do is, we've got 1/2 inch on either side, roughly 15 millimeters. So if we put a 1/2 inch mark there, and then what we need to do is round this off. Now this is going to be a bit tricky because I can't use a compass in there. I think I'm just going to have to literally freehand this until it looks right. That will come around to there. I don't want it any thinner than that, because if I do, I think it'll be too weak, and the last thing I want is for this timber to break, and it's got quite a lot of stress on it. So I think that will be plenty strong enough. So the first thing to do then is I'll cut that out on the bandsaw, and then I'll be back to you. Okay, so I've shaped this now, and I've put it on the sander and just sanded it round just to smooth it off. The rest of it is going to be literally a hand mould round. I think I'll just round these edges, and I'll round the back edges as well. And I think we'll call it quits with that. I don't think we'll take that bit any further than that. Okay, so I'm just simply going to round these edges over. I'm going to just literally use an old wooden spoke shave. See how that. Actually, I might need to put this over at that angle just so I can get that bottom corner. There we go. That's coming along quite nicely already. Don't need to go much further than that. Put it like that, and you can see what I'm doing. Just work my way up, working with the grain. Can't go any further than that on that side. I need to come back the other way. What I'm trying to do here is avoid tearing the wood. And then back up on this side. There we go. And then a little bit there on that corner that I need to get. Sometimes it's a case of just using it diagonally. Now, what do we do with that? Let's deal with this piece first. So it just goes to show you don't need to go and buy steel spoke shaves like this one. I mean, you can do, because it works just as well. Finding a wooden one at a car boot sale will do the job just as well. There we go. Now, piece of I'm just going to sand that round all the way. Now, I'm not going to let you watch me sand every inch of this, because that's just a bit boring. I'll get back to you as soon as I finish sanding all the way around. So that's the front edges all smoothed off and rounded. That's not the final sanding. I am going to sand everything a second time. So the same thing on the back. I'm looking at this grain, and that's because this is a piece of Utley, which is very similar to Sapele. The grains do tend to go in all sorts of different directions, so you do have to be a little bit careful. There we go. There we go with that bit. We'll just work our way. Let's just tip it up like that to get the split. Pull this rather than I am going to tip to this one because it's got a smaller mouth, which means it's a bit better for going across. You can see a slightly better cut. And then onto this side. There we go. Now let's take a close look at that. A little bit more just on that back of that edge there. I think, yes, it does. It's got to go that way with the grain. Okay, back to the sandpaper. Same thing again. Just take off all the high spots and leave ourselves with a nice round wood. Remembering, of course, to also go with the grain at the same time. Almost there. That's it. Let's round itself onto the end grain. Now, hand grain is harder to sand, so you will need to work this bit a little bit more than you would along the grain. But I'm not using a block on purpose for this. And this is 120 grit sandpaper that I'm using to do the actual shaping. And that is pretty much the shape I want. So the rest of this now is just simply going to be just working down through the sandpaper grits to get a nice smooth finish. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to route around this edge to put some detail on it. But the more I look at this, I'm not happy that these are square corners. So I think the first thing I'm going to do is just round over these corners first, and then we'll run round with the router. I'll put all the gear on, etc. And then see where we go from there. So just give me a second while I just round those corners over. I forgot to say that the way I'm going to mark these to round them is literally just to use one of these templates. It's literally just a piece of plastic full of holes, but every one has got a size on it. So I'm going to take a look at this and think, right, what do I need? Let's go with 15 millimeters. So I'll set that on the corner there, and then draw my little round. Can you just see that there? Probably a bit difficult to see, but there's a pencil mark there. Put one on the other side. And then there we go. Just move that over a fraction, that's better. Right, so I'm going to sand those over. You don't need to see me doing that, and I'll get back to you in a second. There we go, nicely rounded over on those corners on both of them. So I'm going to set up now for the router, put a mat down on a non-slip mat down on here because it's a bit difficult to actually clamp this, and then I'll get back to you. Okay, I've got it on a non-slip mat, but I'm still not convinced it's secure enough, so I've also got a clamp on it, but the clamp will get in my way. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do the outer edge that I can reach, and then we'll have to put it in the vise or find another way to hold the last little bit while I come up to these 2 pencil lines on either side here. Obviously, I've got the dust extractor attached to my router, a dust mask, proper one, and just a case of getting on with it now. But this is going to get a bit noisy, so it's a bit difficult to talk once I put this on. So here we go. Right, mask on, vacuum on. Right, I've already set them down. Okay, I've now routed on the back edge. It did work in the vise, but sorry, I forgot to switch the camera on, so that didn't really help, did it? Okay, I'm just going to quickly sand that with the orbital sander, both the top and the bottom, just to get rid of all my pencil marks and little scuff marks, and then I'll finish hand sanding that, and then literally we're almost ready to assemble it. The reason for sanding them beforehand is that once you've got these together, it's very difficult to get into these corners. So it's far better if you can sand it all first and then assemble it, and then if necessary just a very light sand afterwards just to get any minor imperfections. So here we go. Just put the old mask back on and we'll give this a quick sand. That was with an 80 grit. So quick hand sand now, and then 20 just to bring everything else up to the same level. Flip her over. Same again. And there we go. Okay, I'm going to go over it again with all, because that's 120, 240, 320, and then I'm going to put it all together. Alright, and I'll get back to you once we're ready to assemble it. Okay, so just finishing off the sanding. I am going to work my way up through the grits. At the moment I'm just getting everything as I want it with the 120 grit. And then it's just a case of working right round and through all the grits. So once I've got that done, then I'll come back again. Okay, so now I've got everything sanded at last. So we've got those 2 pieces, and somewhere, there it is, we've got this as well. That is the only part of this peg that will actually be seen. So I will just go over that again just to make sure that's absolutely spot on. But it was turned in the lathe, so it's just a lot easier to actually finish these, although I had to leave a tiny bit in the centre there and finish that by hand. But I'm pretty sure that will look very nice once it's polished up. Right, so first thing to do then is to get this glued together. And it's a nice snug fit, but you will notice I've got a tiny little gap just there. And then what I'm going to do is show you a way to fix that. But I think this will have to be clamped in the vise just to press down on that, and then I can fix that problem at the same time. What I'm going to do is, whenever I have fine sawdust, I keep it, because if you get a situation like this, then the easiest thing to do while you're gluing it up is to literally, it's just to rub a bit of dust in there, and that little gap at the back there will completely and utterly disappear. So first things first, let's get some glue on this. And I'm just using regular PVA, nothing special, because this is going to be indoors anyway, so it's not like it's going to be exposed to weather or water or anything like that. It is not. Well, I hope not anyway. Its days of being a boat propeller are over, because I did notice it's actually distorted. So I think at some time in the past, this particular boat has hit something. I just want to get a little bit more glue on this shoulder there in particular. There we go. There we go, that's what I want. I want plenty of glue on there, right into the vise. Unfortunately, let's close it down. A little bit of kitchen roll, and actually before I do, I'll get a bit of plastic in there. Well, that's there. Use a chisel just to scoop out a bit of dust. What I'm going to do with that is literally just push it and work it into there. Okay. And then wipe it off. And I can see I need just a tiny bit more there, just in that little corner, which is very little. There we go, it's vanished. Right, we'll leave that to dry. But what I am going to do is a little scraper, and I'm literally going to just scrape along there and remove this glue. This is actually very good. It's a much bigger one, it's definitely sharper. The thing about scrapers is that they don't mind which way the grain is. So when you're working with particularly hardwoods like mahogany, sapele, usually as this is, it can be very useful. There we go. I'm going to leave that now, let it set, and then we'll come back and we'll start to look at finishes. Okay, we've had about an hour, so the glue is basically set now. So we've got that one nice solid piece. I've just sanded that back edge just to clean it up a little bit, get rid of that. And it's looking pretty good now, nice and solid. And as you can probably see, that little bit of dust has just tidied up that joint quite nicely. The rest of it is fine, and there's no squeeze out. Put some finish on the head off the nail, so that I can hang this up. Basically, I can paint or varnish all of it at the same time. Just get it in there, and we can hang it on there. There we go. And then we can literally get right around here. Into there. Into there. And across there. Just in there. And then that. We'll let that dry off now. And we'll come back to it in a minute. Okay, the shellac is nice and dry now. It's raised the grain a little bit, which I expected it to do. So what I'm going to do first of all is just give it a gentle rub down with some 320, just to get rid of that. So even on that little bit I've just rubbed there, it's now silky smooth. So I'm going to do that all the way around. As soon as I've done that, I'll come back to you, which won't take very long at all, because it's only this part that you've ever seen. Just okay, I'm just using natural or clear dry wax and treble nought wire wool. Just a little bit of wax on the pad. Look at that. Look at that. Isn't that fabulous? Just stick this over there, out of the way. Actually, stick it in there. Do the same on the bottom. Okay. Corners. Kitchen towel will do. Remove any excess. Let that soak in, and then we'll come back and we'll polish the whole thing. And I'll steadily make my way around this. Make sure I get into all the detail. Just look at that wood now. Look how it shines. This is probably a good time to ask if you enjoyed this. I would appreciate a thumbs up, and if you're not already, if you care to subscribe, that would be a real big help. It's absolutely free, and through the magic of YouTube, next time I upload a video, they'll let you know, and hopefully I'll have something else that's interesting, and you can come along for the journey, and we can work on these things together. It should be ready to go back to my friend, and hopefully they'll like what I've done with it. Because of course that's the thing, when you do something for somebody else, you never quite know whether they're going to like it, but hopefully they will. And we can find out whether it's nice and stable. But that looks pretty good so far. Get my slightly grubby finger marks off it. There we go. Looking at that, I might just give that another rub, just to make sure there's plenty on there, because that is the one piece that will really jump out. Okay, back shortly. Getting all the nooks and crannies into the mouldings there. Make sure there's no build-up of wax in there, but it has dried off, and it's just using my fingernail just to get into those little grooves in there. Just over the bottom as well, just to make sure there's no surplus wax anywhere. And we've now got a nice, smooth, even. In fact, that feels really feels lovely. That. That's doing pretty well there. I'm doing. Let's a little cap as well. Polished. Right, now then, let's see if it all goes together. The cap goes into there, plug goes into there. The little arrow there is just to remind me which of the propeller blades goes to the top. Now the important thing was that this had to be no higher than 27 centimetres. Grab a tape measure, and we are actually at, wow, 26 and a half. So we're just in. I mean, it's close, but we're in. So now then, I've got a large brass screw there that will go into there. And one little trick, particularly in hardwoods, is just put a little bit of wax on your screw. Not that much, obviously. There we go. Just a little bit of wax. It makes all the difference in the world when it comes to screwing that in. Now, the reason I'm using such a long screw is I want it to go down the length of that wooden dowel, because that will actually strengthen it. So it's not just relying on the wood itself, it will have this brass going all the way through it. It also means that the lady who owns this didn't particularly want to polish the propeller up at this point, but wanted it to be an option if she changed her mind in the future. There we go. So there it is. It's on there. It's not going anywhere. We can remove the label now. Just clean the dust off that. And there we go. One stand for an old boat propeller. So there you have it. You can always make something from what is relatively an unusual thing for somebody to actually ask, could I make a stand for it? But I'm quite pleased with that. I think it's turned out quite well. So I'm Dave, and next time we'll come up with something else that's interesting. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and please, if you can, leave a comment. Speak to you soon. Bye now.